A new report suggests that over WWE WrestleMania 41 weekend, WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin was reportedly telling those close to him that he feels he has one more match left in him. If that is indeed true, who will face the Texas Rattlesnake in his final match ever inside a squared circle? Today, in this countdown video, we're going to let you know 5 potential WWE superstar opponents for Stone Cold Steve Austin in his retirement match. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin today's countdown video, you can see right there, we are getting closer and closer to 23,000 subscribers, on the road to 25,000. Of course, the goal is to hit 25k in 2025. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. In addition, you can become a member of the WN365 roster. Links in the video description below. You can click the join button or scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. Right, let's get into this countdown video and talk about one final match for the Texas Rattlesnake, WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, a new report from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select is reporting we may not have seen the last of Stone Cold Steve Austin inside of a WWE ring. Of course, historically, Stone Cold Steve Austin effectively retired from professional wrestling in 2003 and didn't have another match for 19 years. Austin came out of retirement to face Kevin Owens in the main event of WrestleMania 38 Saturday in 2022. Since then, Austin hasn't necessarily closed the door on returning to the ring, but he hasn't been eager to jump in the ring either. Fightful Select previously reported that he was actually approached about wrestling the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns for WrestleMania in 2023, but that didn't end up happening, but maybe something else will. However, Fightful Select have heard word from around WrestleMania 41 weekend this year in Las Vegas that Austin intimated they might not be quite finished yet. More than one source around WrestleMania weekend, according to Fightful, claimed that Austin told them he, quote, might have one more left in him, referring to one final match, not one more ATV ride where he crashes into the barricade. Now, Fightful said they haven't heard how he was feeling after WrestleMania, but multiple people that saw him that weekend claimed that he was at least open to the idea of wrestling under the right circumstances. Previously, Austin had claimed that TKO hadn't reached out to him since taking over, but then, of course, he made an appearance over WrestleMania week, which, of course, suggests that they did reach out to him. Now, a number of wrestlers have approached management reportedly about facing Stone Cold Steve Austin in recent years. Naturally, several names are more likely than others. Let's get in to 5 WWE superstars who could be Stone Cold Steve Austin's final match at a WrestleMania, maybe as soon as WrestleMania 42 next year, once again in Las Vegas, where Stone Cold Steve Austin currently lives. Let's begin with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Now, you feel like when it comes to these kind of matches, when Stone Cold Steve Austin steps back inside a squared circle, it's a past generation. It's the face of the Attitude Era versus someone from the current era. And a strong argument can be made that this era that we're in right now, let's call it the TKO era. Of course, you've got all these different eras: Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, PG Era, Reality Era. This is really the TKO era, isn't it? Of course, this is the Triple H TKO era, and the flag waver, the face of the company, is Cody Rhodes. Whilst he may not currently, at the time of recording this video, be the undisputed WWE Champion, he held the championship for over a year, from WrestleMania 40 to WrestleMania 41, and the expectation is, you may be watching this several months from now, but the expectation is that he'll once again be the guy to defeat John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship, and maybe he might even be John Cena's retirement match. Cody Rhodes has been a strong contender to possibly face Cena in his final match at the end of 2025, in December of 2025, and given that fact that he's the face of the company, many expect Cena to do the favors and do the job to Cody Rhodes to defeat John Cena in the middle of the squared circle, and just like The Rock did to John Cena, just like Hulk Hogan did to The Rock, then John Cena is going to pass the torch, acknowledge Cody Rhodes, if you will, as the new face of WWE. And if that's the case, maybe TKO decide that actually it's not just strong enough to have John Cena do that. Maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin is another WWE Hall of Famer, WWE legend, former face of WWE, similar to how John Cena is, that could pass the torch to Cody Rhodes. Not that Cody Rhodes needs legitimizing or anything like that. Cody Rhodes' ratings, his ticket sales, his merchandise, they speak for themselves as far as record business that WWE have been doing since Cody Rhodes has really been front and center for the company, but certainly adds further credibility, and it would be a major, major marquee match and a real clash of generations, passing the torch moment if indeed Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake, faced the American Nightmare in Austin's final match at a WrestleMania. Certainly a match that would be befitting of the grandest stage of them all. Now, what about Roman Reigns? Now, we spoke in the report from Fightful that actually WWE at one point did have plans, or at least the idea of doing this match. Roman Reigns versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, this is in the middle of Roman Reigns' record run as undisputed WWE Universal Champion. The match was proposed for WrestleMania 39. Of course, that was taking place in Inglewood, California. That was taking place at SoFi Stadium. And at that time, WWE wasn't under the control of TKO. They would announce the merger to UFC the following night after WrestleMania 39. But of course, it wasn't completed till later on in the year. So this was still at the time that Triple H was sort of in control of creative of WWE, of course. When the approach took place, this may have been when Vince McMahon had retired for the first time in 2022, but by the beginning of 2023, Vince McMahon had come back. So who actually placed the pitch or reached out to Stone Cold Steve Austin isn't really known at this time right now. But this was coming off of Austin wrestling the year prior at WrestleMania 38 against Kevin Owens in the main event. No holds barred match on WrestleMania Saturday. Then he got physical the following night, hitting a Stone Cold Stunner on Austin Theory, on Vince McMahon, on Pat McAfee. So many people thought, because Austin felt pretty good coming out of WrestleMania 38, he'd be open to another match. And then during this time, there were no plans to get the Undisputed Universal Championship off Roman Reigns. He was already working the part-time schedule, but he was doing these big matches, and again, he was doing these big ratings, and the plan was for him to have this hugely historic run of multiple years of the Undisputed WWE Champion, which of course happened. Roman Reigns over 1,000 days with the championship. Now, ultimately, Austin said he couldn't do it because he was off filming another program. He was filming a program, I believe, for USA Network at the time, and because of the travel schedule and the filming schedule of that, it would have actually just left him maybe a couple of weeks to get ready for WrestleMania, and he felt that he needed more time, so the match didn't ultimately end up happening. Of course, what did end up happening was Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes the first time round, and Roman Reigns won. Of course, originally, at one point, there were possibly plans for Roman Reigns versus The Rock to happen, as The Rock has gone on record to state, but they decided to wait to a further time. So ultimately, it could have been Roman Reigns versus Steve Austin. It could have been Roman Reigns versus The Rock. It ended up being Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Nevertheless, many people could make a strong argument that if WWE had planned to do it before, why wouldn't they plan to do it again? Now, you could maybe say, well, is this the biggest match and the best match for business that WWE could do right now? Does Roman Reigns really need to be put over? Because he's been put over by everyone for the past decade. Everyone acknowledges him. Everyone knows he's the OTC. He's a made man at this point. He's not a full-time talent. So is it worth Stone Cold Steve Austin in his final ever match putting over someone that possibly isn't even going to be at the next Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania? Maybe that's a bad idea. But certainly in terms of star power, certainly in terms of a marquee match, it absolutely ticks all of those boxes. Now, what about Gunther? Well, Gunther, he's in the business of having retirement matches, isn't he? At the time of recording this video, this match hasn't happened just yet, but you may be watching it sometime down the line. Gunther is scheduled to face Goldberg. Yes, WWE Hall of Famer Goldberg in Goldberg's WWE retirement match at an upcoming episode of Saturday night's main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, spoiler alert here, I think most people would be stunned if Goldberg won that match, and certainly would be stunned if Goldberg carries on wrestling coming out of it. The expectation is he'll be one and done, but maybe Gunther gets a taste for it, and maybe Gunther, as they spoke about Roman Reigns, spoke about Cody Rhodes, maybe Gunther is someone that Stone Cold Steve Austin feels actually would benefit more of being in the ring with him for one final match. Some of the names that I've mentioned already, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, as I mentioned, they're made men. They're over, they're main event level talent. Now, Gunther certainly is a main event level talent. He's a two-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He holds the record for the longest WWE Intercontinental Championship reign in the history of the company at 666 days. But is he in the echelon of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes? Maybe not. Maybe not in terms of star power, but that is where working with someone like Stone Cold Steve Austin may be perfect for him. In addition to that, Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though he was the anti-hero, even though he was sort of the anti-babyface, he still needs a fantastic heel to work against. Now, Roman Reigns, Arguably his best run in WWE came as a heel, but currently he's a babyface. Cody Rhodes, some people have wanted him to turn heel for a long time, but he's the face of the company and he's a babyface. Stone Cold Steve Austin may feel that actually the best feud and program for him would be to work against a top heel in WWE. And not only that, WWE's top heel that is going to be at the Raw after WrestleMania, the SmackDown after WrestleMania, and continue to be making TVs and making towns after the grandest stage in the world. Maybe that's where Gunther is absolutely perfect. We know a lot of old school guys are big fans of Gunther's character and the way that Gunther works. Notably, WWE Hall of Famer The Undertaker has gone on record saying if he could come back, he would love to work with Gunther because he's an old school kind of heel. And Stone Cold Steve Austin's got a very similar creative mentality to someone like Mark Calloway, so maybe someone like Gunther might actually be the perfect foil to the Texas Rattlesnake if indeed he was to return to the squared circle. Now, what about John Cena? Speaking of retirements, John Cena, at the time recording this video, has about 6 months left as an active in-ring WWE superstar. He is the undisputed WWE champion. He is the never seen 17. And Cena says in December of 2025, he will have his last match as an active in-ring WWE superstar. Now, does this give enough time? This is the question. Does this give enough time to possibly see a match that many people thought was long and gone, when over the years it was speculated and hypothesized that Stone Cold Steve Austin could come back and have one more match throughout the entirety of the PG era? Many people said, could you imagine Stone Cold Steve Austin, the face of the Attitude Era, versus John Cena, the face of the PG era? Two guys that just never crossed over. For a very short period of time, they were active on the roster together. That's in sort of 2003, but that was about it. Stone Cold Steve Austin had taken his ball and gone home. Then John Cena debuts on the main roster. Ruthless aggression slaps Kurt Angle in the face, and we saw very little crossover. We have seen Cena take a stunner on a Tribute of the Troops episode of SmackDown before. We have seen them cross paths inside the squared circle on episodes of Raw, but never a match, and never, certainly, anything like a high-profile WrestleMania main event. Now, John Cena, the problem is with this theory, he's not getting to WrestleMania next year. He's had his final WrestleMania. He competed in his last WrestleMania at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, where he won the undisputed WWE Championship for the record 17th time, defeating Cody Rhodes. So this match between Cena and Austin can't take place at WrestleMania, which maybe means this one's off the table, because many people expect if Austin's going to have a retirement match, the star of Stone Cold Steve Austin, if he's going to have a retirement match, it's kind of WrestleMania worthy, isn't it? It's going to have to be at WrestleMania. So the only other way to this happening is if either Cena extends and says, you know what, I lied, I'm a heel, I'm going to go to WrestleMania, or there's a situation where Austin goes, you know what, I want this match so badly that we'll have it early. Instead of having it at WrestleMania, we'll have it at Survivor Series, we'll have it another time or something like that. But Austin, as he mentioned this past year at WrestleMania, he'd recently had knee replacement surgery, and there was only so much physically that he could do. You basically saw his physical capabilities, and he would need time to get into shape to have a match, let alone a marquee main event match like this. So it's not impossible, but it feels improbable. But what certainly a clash of generations that would be, and what a spectacle. How quickly would that one sell out? Steve Austin, John Cena, undisputed WWE Championship, both men's retirement tour. Not bad going. And finally, when you talk about one more match for Stone Cold Steve Austin, a lot of people think of this guy right here, CM Punk. CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin has been a dream match that people have wanted, asked for, speculated about, dreamed about for decades at this point, because it just makes sense. You've got the beer drinking, middle finger raising, Texas Rattlesnake, anti-authority, anti-establishment against straight edge, alcohol-free, drug-free, smoke-free. They are the complete mirrors of themselves, but he's also anti-establishment. He's also anti-authority. He's the voice of the voiceless. He's the atypical face of WWE. He's the atypical WWE champion, even though John Cena now wants to call him a millionaire, Mr. TKO, and a sellout. People could say the same thing about Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? People did have the accusation of Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? He sold out and shook hands with Vince McMahon and went on a heel run that no one really liked at the time. But this is the match that many people have wanted to see, and frankly, even when there were reports saying that Stone Cold Steve Austin was interested in having one more match. And this goes back to 2023. There were reports at the moment that CM Punk came back to WWE, that CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin had at the very least been pitched and at the very least been discussed. And you feel like if Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming back for one match and one match only, Steve Austin has mentioned several times that it would be most likely for this one, for Punk versus Austin. Previously, over the last decade, no one really spoke about it as much because it seemed impossible. If Austin's going to wrestle, which no one thought he was, it would be for WWE, and CM Punk was the most anti-WWE person. He was persona non grata, he was involved in lawsuits. It just wasn't possible. It was completely impossible. Well, now the impossible has not only become not improbable, but actually very, very possible. So Punk Austin, if it was gonna happen, it would have to be WrestleMania next year. Main event of one of the nights, CM Punk, Stone Cold, it's Steve Austin. The promos alone, the name power, the story would sell itself, certainly, wouldn't it? People always go back to that episode of WWE Monday Night Raw in 2011. It was an all-star night. Stone Cold was the general manager for the evening. CM Punk walks in. Steve Austin says, "You want a beer?" Stone Cold saying, "What? You want some whiskey? What? You want some vodka? What?" It just writes itself. And it's a dream match that many people have wanted to see for the longest time. CM Punk, the biggest Stone Cold Steve Austin fan growing up as well. There's a picture of young Phil Brooks standing next to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Add a photo up as well, an autograph signing. It's got so much baked into it that you just feel like it has to happen. And because it is a dream match that's been spoken about so much, that actually speaking it into reality and it finally happening, as impossible as and improbable as it felt at many points in life, would just be something so perfect for WrestleMania, wouldn't it? So Punk Austin, count me in, certainly. But there you go, guys. There are 5 WWE superstars who could be a final opponent for WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin, if indeed the reports are true that Austin feels he has one more match left in him. What are your thoughts on the list? Which one is most likely? Have I missed people off that you expected to see in there? Do you think Austin will have one more match? When do you think it's going to be? Where do you think it's going to be? Let me know your opinions, your hot takes, as always, in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. You can see right there, we're on our way to 23k, on that road to 25k. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Remember, you can join the WN365 roster. Links in the video description below. You can also scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.